Hello, beautiful YouTube people. Replit Agent 3 is here, and I'm pumped. In this video, we built this super simple form builder app that lets you create your own forms and embed them on your websites. Stick around. We're going to be going through all the new Agent 3 features. You're going to learn a lot. I'm going to burn tokens for you so you don't have to. Let's get right to it. Let's jump in.
I'm really pumped about this. It's their most autonomous agent update yet. You can give it tasks, you can queue up tasks and walk away from your computer and it'll run for like up to 200 minutes. I played around with it a little bit, but we're just going to explore and build an app today and see how it goes and show off some of what it can do. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT where I always start. Now, what we're gonna wanna build is a forms app, right? So I'm always needing forms for my different apps, and I wanna track those submissions, and I wanna be able to embed them. So I'm just gonna have ChatGPT write me a PRD for this app. Write me a PRD for a simple form app where the user can customize the fields in a form, create the new form, and then get a URL they can link to for people to fill out the form and get an embeddable form they can embed into their websites. It should be like a CRM where they can click into a form and then see a list of the responses, export that data as a CSV, edit the form, delete the form, make it super simple. And they should be able to customize the order of the questions in the form, which ones are required, and maybe the colors of the form and the buttons. But we should keep the UI super snappy and minimalist and modern and use Shad CN for the components. Let's use Replit Auth for authentication, and let's use the Replit database to store form responses. Okay, so I just used Super Whisper, which I definitely recommend for dictating when you're vibe coding. Oh, and another thing I like to throw in is pick a color scheme, a theme, and choose primary and secondary colors and any other colors we might need, like alert colors for the app. Let's use cobalt blue as our primary color, and let's call the app Stupid Forums. We'll use the domain stupidforums.com once we've deployed it. I'm gonna get rid of this URL part just so we don't confuse it. Okay. All right, let's copy this. Let me go paste it in my notes, and I'm gonna get rid of these questions it asked me at the end. All right, now let's go to Replit. Let's paste it in and say, build me this app, and we can select web app. And these are some examples that you can start with here if you don't know what to build. And these are the different app types that you can build. So let's just go start, and we're going to see the Agent 3 new kind of kickoff here. It's a little different than how it used to work. I can't wait till we get to the testing part because that's what I've had the most fun with so far. The autonomous Agent 3 can take your app and actually like visually test it. So it'll open a screen and it'll show you it moving around and clicking stuff and verifying that things work. So that's super cool. I'll show you guys how to do that. Okay, so we're going to see the visual preview here. These are tasks I can work on later. I don't think we want third-party integrations. Okay, I'm liking this. Okay, and so it's doing login as the main page, which is good because usually I'll use Replit to build a landing page with all the marketing pages and then just have a link that goes right to this login page. So this is great. Okay, so let's approve this. And you can see we got Agent 3 up here in the building. So what I'm trying to hopefully demonstrate is how the agent can kind of work through issues and debug its own plan as it goes versus having to check in every 2 minutes, 3 minutes and answer a question or approve something. It does a pretty good job, and you'll see that when it responds, it has its own underneath the hood little sub agents to do things. And it'll say like, I'm going to have the architect look at this. I'm going to have the designer look at this. So it's pretty cool to get kind of an idea of how the sausage is made. All right, let's just go down here and check. Okay, we've got app testing turned on. I have higher power off for here. Oh, let's turn Max Autonomy on. We didn't have that on. Oh, and there's image generation. So this is great if you're doing like a landing page. It'll generate AI images to use, at least for like a first pass. You can just get some nice placeholder images. I want to talk about credits really quick because I think people are wary of, and you should be, giving an AI agent just kind of free reign to burn credits for a long time, right? And so what I've noticed, and please comment if this is different from what you guys have experienced. I've noticed that max autonomy has gotten cheaper than the first time I used it about a week ago. So I think they're making it more efficient. And I've also noticed that it really helps if, even in max autonomy mode, you switch right here into plan mode first whenever you're building out features or giving a task, because then it kind of defines the task for it and kind of limits it and helps kind of do a lot of that thinking up front. So, one thing I'll do when I'm like almost done with an app is I'll maybe turn on like the autonomy or like the high power model, which is going to cost more, but I'll just say just plan. So it's not going to burn tokens writing code. For example, it audited an app for me during dinner for an hour and a half, and it found like 10 or 11 bugs that needed to be fixed. And it cost me $7. And it was really thorough. It was a really complex app it was debugging. So that was definitely worth it. And then just anecdotally, sometimes if it's just fixing one feature or debugging one page, a task could cost $1, could cost 50 cents. And I think it's pretty reasonable so far, because I think that the results that you get to it completes tasks better. Like you have a way higher rate of actually completing what you set out to do. So far I'm actually really happy with the efficiency and the cost. All right, so it's going through and scaffolding out this app right now. We'll see at some point it should pop up like a list here of the steps it's going through. I'm not sure exactly when it switches over to that or if it's every time. I think this is the second app that I built from scratch with Agent 3. Most of my experience so far has been working with existing repositories, and I think it works even more efficiently with new projects just because it's like the Agent 3 created this, how the Agent 3 is used to coding, so it's gonna maybe be better at that than something that I've been coding, like, with Agent 2, and that I've added a bunch of spaghetti code to. So I would say start some projects from scratch with Agent 3 and go that route. But like I said, I mean, it's been really good at debugging existing apps. So let me know what you guys think. You could go either way. I'm just going to go through kind of the announcements to make sure I didn't miss anything on Agent 3 that we need to take a look at. So app testing, max autonomy. We spoke about these. I've noticed it says the agent will periodically decide to test your application. I've noticed that it usually, if you give it a big enough like prompt, like, hey, we need to debug this or fix this page, it'll usually create like a step of plans, and the last or second to last step will be that testing, and it'll go do that. But I think you could prompt it to be like, hey, test the app this way. And I've even noticed that when you have the testing feature here slid off, the agent still wants to test. So sometimes it'll just write its own little test scripts and kind of do like unit testing. And the other cool thing is in max autonomy mode, you can still queue messages. So you could be like, okay, update the color scheme to be red. Boom. And it'll be in the queue. So you could just queue up 3, 4 things at a time and walk away. And in the past, with like your Replit Agent 2, it would maybe look at a task and then come back to you with questions, or look at a task and say, hey, can you test this and let me know it works? But instead, it'll do all that itself. It'll search through the code until it answers its questions, and then it'll test it itself and then move on to the next thing in your queue and attack that. Now, I don't think I have that workflow nailed down because you might be working on one thing and it tested and it works, but then it introduces a new bug. And then if it moves on to the next queued message, then, well, I don't want to go roll everything back to fix this one little bug, but you kind of get what I'm saying? Like, I think maybe I need to experiment more with the Git feature here where you can build on different branches. So that could be cool. If you can make it so that each queued message could go to like a different branch, that way you could kind of organize your code separately. But this is way too nerdy in depth Git talk here. Okay, so this is another, I'm going to do this in my next video, is show you guys how you can set up agents and automations. So again, so cool. I can't wait to play around with it more, but basically you could take any automation that you're paying for in like Zapier or make.com and just set it up in Replit. And they have all these entry points like Slack and Telegram for kind of running these agents and automations. So you can make like a Slack or Telegram bot that you go in and say, hey, bot, go edit this code, or hey, bot, go look up the weather for me, right? It would be a super basic one. So that's super cool because I feel like there's no good place to kind of set up and have these different bots and workflows in one place. Something like Make or Zapier is really good, but it's kind of tedious dragging stuff around, right, in those diagrams. So I'm excited about this one. Oh, and I should say they did kind of reorganize stuff. So this is actually nice. The chat's on the left here. And then if we want to see our files, it used to be up here, but now it's over here on the right. And I think that's nice. I'm already used to it. And then the other thing is they changed deployment. So when you want to deploy your app, they changed that to be called publishing. So that's another thing to be aware of. Okay, so let's try signing in with Replit. Okay, and so it did 12 minutes of work. It cost me $1.76. Let's see, did we strike out on off? No, we didn't. I just had to go to a different tab. Interesting. Okay. Let's create my first form. Email, text field, number. What's your email? What's your name? What's your favorite number? Okay, save form. Let's see if they set up a database. Yep, looks like we do. So we have a development database here. And then once we publish it, we'll have the prod database. So that's where like your production data goes. Okay, we clicked into the form. No responses. Let's try this link. Uh-oh. That's funny. I can't. Why is it? What's your name there? Let's try this form again. Huh. Oh. So we're having issues here. So let's go back with round 2 and see what Agent 3 can do to update this. Okay. I got feedback on the MVP. 1, I'm not able to type in all of the form fields when I go to preview it. So we need to fix that and make sure that we can type into them. 2, I want to simplify form creation. Instead of having people edit inputs in a side menu, I want to be able to edit the form directly. And I want there to be pre-designed question types for frequently needed questions in forms. So things like, what's your email? What's your full name? What's your first name? What's your last name? Maybe first name and last name as a block. What's your date of birth? What's your telephone number? So like form fields that people will be using a lot when they're setting up websites, put those as kind of already existing blocks. What other feedback do we have? Make sure that dragging to reorder the form questions is functional. It's not right now. Let's see how a date works. Okay, cool. That's sick because I always have trouble with dates when I'm doing AI stuff. Thank you. Powered by stupid forms. That's pretty sweet. So let's see if we can see the submissions real quick. One response. Ah, that's crazy. I know we had trouble with those fields, but like, it's just so bonkers. We're what? We're 15 minutes in and it's already kind of working. That's crazy. Yep. And the CSV exported. That's incredible. What else can we tell it here? Overall, just make the form editor more fluid, user-friendly, minimalist, and fun to use. Okay, so we've got app testing on. We've got Max autonomy on. Let's go. Oh, I can't wait to see the testing. Okay, so here's the task list thing. This is what it usually does before it goes into autonomous mode. Oh, you know what I forgot is I should make it so that you can enter a webhook receiver for any of the forms. So that way form data can be sent to like Google Sheets or your CRM or wherever you want it. Form field component and the form builder explicitly disables the form fields in the preview. Okay, interesting. But this isn't preview, right? Back to dashboard. And so maybe we can just test this embedder real quick. I'm going to go to CodePen, GitHub, I guess. Okay. Oh, wait, it's an iframe. All right, yeah, here it is. I still can't type. I wonder if it could be this. I don't think it's a Safari thing. I've been starting to use Safari lately because it's way better at not using a ton of computer resources when you have a bunch of tabs open, which I always do. And Chrome does not like that. I can see its progress up here. Fix problem typing in fields, so it's on that one. And did it do any testing yet? I don't think so. I want to catch it doing the cool testing. Okay. It's asking me for my OpenAI key for this agent. And this guy is still running in autonomous mode over here on our Forms app, working on all our feedback. So I feel like this saves me time because I think like each of these little steps where it's like planning or choosing next steps is one where it would have to have come back to me and asked like, what should we do next? Like, does this work? If we were using Agent 2, but Agent 3 just blows through all that. Meal Maestro. It's a good name. Okay, so we spent 20 cents so far on developing this bot. All right, we got our bots working for us. This is kind of, this is the double-edged sword here. When the bots are more autonomous, I have less cool stuff to show because it's just kind of them working. And then, you know, I walk away and come back and see what they built. Okay, shoot. I think it's doing testing. Hopefully, come on, do something cool. It's not doing it yet. Bummer. Okay. So this guy's on to problem 2. I do want to maybe just tell it at some point to do the testing so I can show you guys what it looks like. Edit. Oh, this is so much better. Oh, of course it doesn't work. Oh, that's nice. System doesn't let me click in to edit the question or the question subtext. I should be able to just click in and get like my cursor and edit with no friction. Wait, oh. Sometimes when I toggle on the required switch, it flips it for other questions than the one that I toggled. Fix these carefully. So I'm going to add that to the queue. Back on my bot. Okay, cool.
Okay, so we're about 50 minutes from when we started building these apps, and I just wanted to show you because it's doing the autonomous testing thing that we talked about. So here it is on the Forms app. You can see it's clicking to sign in. It was able to sign in with Replit. I think it uses its own Replit account, not yours, but I'm not 100%. Now it's going to try to build a form. I've signed in and I'm now on the page where all forms are listed. My next step is to click the Create New Form button to start building a brand new one, okay? It's saying that it built a new form and entered John into the first name field. I wonder if it's behind. Oh, here we go. Sweet. What's your email address? Okay, so it was able to add that, okay? It's testing some of the other quick questions we asked it to add. This is so cool. I'll change the label for the email field to your email. Okay, that'd be cool. That's crazy. It's just typing. Personalize the placeholders for both first and last name. I'm going to play with the drag and drop feature. Okay. That would be impressive. We'll check your first and last names. I wonder if it's, because I don't see what it's talking about. I wonder if it's ahead of me, this little log down here. I've been happily clicking around in editing fields. Okay. Okay, so it's testing. Okay, so we're almost done with our immediate first edit of the MVP plan. You can see it up here. It's fixed these problems and tested them. I'm going to tell it to skip this test for now. It seems like it's stuck for some reason testing, even though we just watched it test it. So I hadn't seen that before. It seems like it was way over testing. Maybe because it had a long checklist of I need to test this feature, I need to test this feature, I need to test this feature. So that's something to be aware of. But that's fine because say you want to walk away and have it work on a bunch of stuff, but you don't want it to test, you want to come back and have it test, you can just flip that off. So, okay, cool. So let's reload the app. Okay, so how much was that? Okay, so that was $6 to do that editing and testing. $6, and it probably ran for 30 minutes on fixing that stuff and doing testing, and it wrote 1,000 lines of code, removed 600. I would say that's probably pretty fair, especially if it works like we want. It looks like the drag and drop is having trouble. Let's create a new one real quick. We need to be able to name the form. That would be good. Email, full name. Enter your email address. Enter your full name. Okay, save. Yeah, this is where being able to name them would be super helpful. Oh, look, we can drag and drop. Cool. So it did fix that. I don't know, maybe if that was because it was an old form or if there were too many questions, but let's see. Yeah, I think it's having trouble when we just add more questions. I think especially if they're repeat ones. Oh, and maybe also another thing was I hadn't saved it. So let's make this one optional and not this one. Let's go test this. Embed. BH. That's interesting. The required isn't working. That's frustrating. Guess we'll add that to the queue. All right, so let's refresh with that not as required. And let's save. Boom. Bill. Okay, cool. We should make that a link too. If we go back into the app, click view. Oh, it didn't capture the email address. So I add these in. One, that when you make a form field required, it holds you up from submitting the form even if you've typed it in. I'm noticing this for the email block. I also noticed that when I made it not required and I filled out the email block and submitted it, that the email wasn't recorded in our, it's not showing up in the UI. I don't know if it made it to the database, but the full name block, it worked. Make sure that the data types are consistent and are expecting the right kinds of data. Simplify and refactor where needed. Don't overcomplicate this. Try to fix problems by removing code instead of adding, if and when possible. Okay, and then I'm also going to add. Also notice when you add more than like 2 questions, the dragging and dropping gets wonky. I think it's because you only need to make those drag and drop animations when you're dragging and dropping past like the neighbor blocks. Not all blocks need to be animated when you're dragging. So, but it works if you just have 2 questions. So tighten that up. Again, simplify, remove code when and if possible, and make this efficient and don't add technical debt. Okay, cool. So, I mean, this is kind of the money workflow now, I think, is go test, find bugs, add them into the queue, let it work autonomously, and then come back and repeat. Okay. How much was that? 97 cents to fix that bug. So the old model, I guess like agent like V1, it was like 25 cents per checkpoint, and then they switched to variable cost. But I mean, I think that would have been more than 4 checkpoints, like if we're benchmarking that way. Like, and it was way easier. I didn't have to hold its hand. All right, and let's just check and see if it fixed these forms. Oh yeah, much better. Let's go. Oops. Oh, that is so nice. Oh, this is so goated. We need to be able to name the form. Make it so you can change the name of the form from new form and save it. New form, new form, new form. Let's go test. Interesting. Yeah, so these are the joys of debugging. I had a problem with the checkbox field. The date field working is nice. Usually something goes wrong with date field, but fingers crossed. Spelled my name wrong. It's okay. Okay, submitted. There we go. Bang, so it's working. All right, so we built that app. Can we name? Did I make it so we can name? Oh, is there something? Oh, here it is. Form 3. Okay, so this works great. We just replaced whatever form building software that you've been using. I think next steps would be to add in email notifications, webhook sends, so you could like store the data somewhere else if you wanted, and like redirect. So once you fill out the form, it redirects you. You could set in here where to redirect, like back to your site or like to a calendar. Okay, that was super cool. Go check it out. You can use code Billy when you sign up for Replit for 12 or 15% off. So do that for sure. Comment, what do you want to see me do next? I kind of want to create a game using Agent 3. I think that would be really fun. I could even turn it into a series. This Forms app may become a template that you can use on Replit. So look out for that. I'll add it to the description if and when that's up. Until next time, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining.